really fast.
All right, so it looks like the former president and Republican frontrunner will be ditching the RNC and courting the UAW. The Republican National Committee's marquee event this month, as you might know, is a presidential debate at the Ronald Reagan Library in California. The former president, Donald Trump, reportedly isn't going to be there. Instead, he is headed to the Democratic stronghold of Detroit. Denise, clearly this is Trump flexing, saying he doesn't need the RNC, doesn't need, another debate. It shows his strength over the party right now. But to ask a question at this point in time, how big can Donald Trump's lead get? Do you think he's up by 45, 50, somewhere in there right now?
I'm bad at numbers, so I won't even try. But I will say the more he speaks to the American people and less to his colleagues on the Republican or Democratic side or opponents, the more of a case he's going to make to them and the more his numbers are going up. See, everyone else is playing with the same pieces in the same board, and Trump's changed the game. This is the genius of Donald Trump, the reality TV star before he was a president. He has his finger on the pulse of Americans. And when I was looking at why he would go, I was looking at Michigan and Detroit, and he won in 2016 by a very small margin, 0.3%.
Yep.
He only needs to get 150,000 votes, and he can find that amongst the UAW workers if he speaks directly to them to take that state back. And so he's looking at the long game, and as long as he keeps his eyes focused on the prize and speaks directly to the people, he's going to grow.
I mean, to Denise's point, you look at the numbers right before the first debate and right after, and Donald Trump's numbers not being on that stage actually went up.
Right.
So to Denise's point in the last break too, it's a cult of personality. And to your question, Blake, he has about a 66%, 70% approval rating among Republicans. So I think it could go up to that high. There's a large block of Republican voters that are still never Trumpers, that believe that he has committed felonies, that will never be for him. But as long as you have 8, 9 people running against him and not one front runner, as Ron DeSantis was after the first of the year, you're going to see this fragmentation still.
Yeah,
Charlie,
the reason,
go for it.
The reason why Trump's able to get away with this is because most of those people, those 8 and 9 people that are on that stage, they don't go after Donald Trump when they're on that debate stage.
It's 2016 all over again.
But when they do, they lose.
If all of them in unison spent the entire debate just pillaring Donald Trump, it would drive Trump crazy, because the headlines out of that debate would be entire GOP field dumps on Trump, and he would lose his mind not being able to be there to defend himself.
Charlie, I want to ask you, because you were a former congressman in Pennsylvania, you dealt with the UAW. Is it smart politically? I mean, Denise was talking about the numbers in Michigan. Smart politically for Donald Trump to try to go into Michigan, go after union workers, or is this something at the end of the day, from your experiences, that's just not going to happen?
Well, look, I think he is smart to speak to rank and file union members, because a lot of rank and file union members voted for him or are trending Republican. He's not going to have much luck with UAW leadership,
right?
But he will have some luck with rank and file, and so I think he senses an opportunity here, because this strike, by the way, I don't think this is doing Joe Biden any good at all, because of the economy still being fairly fragile, and the impacts not only to the automotive industry but to the broader economy are very real. And people remember that GM and Chrysler were bailed out 10 years ago. And
what about this argument from Donald Trump on the electric car quote unquote scam, as he calls it? Is that the way to go after this UAW issue for him?
Well, the UAW has been pretty outspoken about their concern about the transition to electric vehicles. So Trump is exploiting this division between Biden and the UAW leadership over this. But the real big question is, this auto industry, Tesla's out there, the German, Japanese, and Korean car companies are out there without all the legacy costs. So Trump is making this case on the electric vehicles. It's a real problem for the Democrats on this issue, because you don't need as many parts for the electric cars, electric vehicles. So it's an issue, and the UAW is screaming about it.
And Biden's actually helping him make that point. Today in his UN speech, where I do not expect other people to have nerdily watched throughout for the whole thing.
You're not glued to the UN General Assembly speech?
I was, but only because I had to be here today. So, he made a point of attacking fossil-fueled cars. And so really, it's interesting, because like I said, everyone else is shuffling the pieces on the board, and Donald Trump has changed the game. And if people aren't dynamic enough, specifically Biden and all of Trump's opponents on the Republican side, they're not going to be able to keep up with the pace that he's setting, because he's changing the conversation and he's speaking directly to those people whose votes he wants in Michigan.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.